Jeremiah Bitsui and Shishihi Bashishchin. I'm here with Taboo on Comics and Kicks. Join us, and we'll be bringing the best of whatever we got.
What up, relatives? Hola, amigos. You are tuned in to another exciting episode of Taboo's Comics and Kicks. Oh, my guest today is a personal friend of mine. This brother is Navajo. I think it's the first of its kind, of his kind, when it comes to Indigenous representation, when it comes to heroes, when it comes to Indian country. I haven't had any relatives on Taboo's Comics and Kicks, so this is a beautiful journey for me as a Native representative, as a voice, to actually have a hero that I've been inspired by that has led the way for other Indigenous voices on the big screen and in TV, as a storyteller, as an amazing ambassador of what it's like to hone in to your craft as an actor and embrace the roles and actually go after your dreams. This man has been part of amazing movies like Natural Born Killers, Lords of Dogtown. He's been part of, Flags of Our Fathers. But the most impactful and the craziest experience that I would say seeing a Native dude on the television screen was his contribution to the hit show Breaking Bad. The person I'm talking about is Jeremiah Bitsui, aka Jeremiah Bitsui.
Thank you, brother.
My brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, I was telling my wife when I was on the plane, I was like, I'm having a little bit of, what do they call it? Imposter syndrome. I'm like, did Taboo really just ask me to come be on his podcast? You know? But I think I thought about that on the way into the studio, but it's always like, I don't know if you get this, but growing up, there's something, you're always like flinching somewhere, you know, like, did I do it? Did I do something wrong? Right. Did I, is this right? There's always that, I think, that extra glint of doubt.
You earned your spot. You earned your spot in history. You've earned your spot on film and television. And as a person that sees you as an inspiration, we always are our worst enemy. Your inner me is always your worst enemy.
Yep.
Telling you like you're not good enough, or why should I win this, or why should I even be on this podcast? Do I deserve to be this? You earned it, bro. You 100% legitimized your career and your contribution to film and television, and also just you as a hero to little kids from the res that look at you and they're like, yo, this man has contributed to culture. He honed in his acting capabilities. He went after his dream. This man, not only on the professional tip, but you as a girl dad, bro. Like, I respect that part of you even more because, as a storyteller is one thing, but to be able to create family and to be a father to girls, I have 3 boys and 1 daughter. So I always advocate for the girl dad experience. I want to start with that first before we dive into your professional life. Let's start with where you're at in life as a girl dad.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a late bloomer. Kind of a funny story. I was one of the times I'm flying out of LA back to Albuquerque, which is kind of my transformative phase. 11, 18, I lived in Albuquerque a lot there, but a lot of kids started having kids early, So one of my friends, I won't throw any names out, but she had a kid very young, and so and I think so did my other friend, her man. So they were kind of clowning on me. This was a couple of years ago because they were like, oh, you're barely having kids now? Yeah. They're like, we were having kids back when we were 13, 14. You're going to have your first one now? And
we're not condoning teen pregnancy, ladies and gentlemen, at all. Even though I had a kid at 17, we're not condoning that. But yes, experiences on the res, urban life, we have people that we know that have had kids at a young age.
It happens faster. We joke in Albuquerque, you'd be a grandma by the time you're 32, But anyway, so I was getting clowned and I kind of felt bad about it. But then I realized it was like, just more recently, just the blessing of being able to be actually present and enjoy it and be able to somewhat have a little more control over my life, So when you hit me up Thursday, I was playing Call of Duty with my wife, And
say that again. Wait, I think that's the first, ladies and gentlemen. I was playing Call of Duty.
I
with
don't mean
my
to laugh,
rap.
bro, but that's kind of funny.
That's pretty amazing.
Who's watching the kids,
bro? Well, kids are asleep, so this is the only time that we really get, like, aside from a date night. So our time is sitting there. You know, we'll do. She calls it shoulder time. Like, we got shoulder time, so we'll be sitting there, and she smokes it, man. Like, she uses an MP5 and a grenade launcher, and she's always at the top, brother. And so, anyways, we're catching up, and I was like, Taboo hit me up, you know. Point being is that's for me as a dad, and I got this from Cranston, from Bryan, because I asked him once. I said, "What's the most important part of being a dad or a girl dad?" And he just says, "Being a good husband. You treat the mom well. That's the most important thing." And so I really try to put that forward, make sure I'm treating my wife right, try to be more respectful, communication. They're watching everything, you know. We tell them all this stuff, but it's like they're soaking up what the experience and what you're doing. Yeah. And so it's like the camera's always on you in that sense. Right. So and they know where to tap in. You know how it is with kids. They know where your weak points are. They know where to poke at you. But yeah, I'd say for me, in the experience, I really am focused on just trying to be a good husband. You know. So
being a good husband, did you have that example at home? Were you connected with your parents? Was your dad like an example of, like, you know, honoring the matriarch? Did you see that growing up?
I almost think I can relate a lot to first generation, like someone having first generation parents. Because it was like breaking out of the res, that was a struggle for my pops. Yeah. And I didn't maybe really get that when I was young. Around the neighborhood, we were living in Albuquerque at the time. What I related to is all the guys in the neighborhood where their dad was just gone. Like, dad was locked up, or dad didn't know where he was, alive or dead. But my dad, I knew, you know, I knew him, and I was close with him as a young kid, and he's a rodeo guy. I grew up with all these like rough and tough cowboys as role models. And I caught the worst end of it because I'm allergic to horses and hay and all that stuff. But, you know, I knew what that meant, like, young, but in those years, those adolescence years, he was working, man. He was trying to put food on the table, and I didn't really know what that meant. And so he's gone now. And I think if I could have, I would have honored him more in my own story, and recognizing how much that meant, even though he wasn't there all the time, like how much it still was impactful. Right. Yeah.
How old are you, Jeremiah?
Wait, I just want to make sure that the people that are watching know what res means, because some people be like, what does res mean, right? What we're talking about is reservation or Indian reservation. Can you kind of elaborate on what your res was like, and then we'll go into that question?
Yeah. So just real quickly, 25 to 40, that's my age range.
Depending if you're playing Call of Duty or being a dad.
I'm just no res. So for us, res really meant, or my res, I didn't, you don't know any different, you know. And I think we were right before all of the epidemic of drugs and addiction, suicide, and substance and meth and everything else, and gangs. You know, that didn't hit until really we were leaving. So in late 80s, that's when stuff started to get tough, and we were already on our way out. So for me, you know, my res, it meant something, like it was family. It was getting up on Saturdays and calling family and saying, "Hey, you guys, come over for breakfast," even though my parents weren't up. Right. And then my parents had to go get up and make food. Like, I had a really great foundation playing in the neighborhood with the kids, and then you know, dirt biking around and playing res ball. You know, I mean, that was my foundation. Early, like living in Chinle, where, you know, Tatanka, Natani, my little brothers, that's where we're all from. And being there, it was rodeo is like back home. That's our national sport. So if you're in rodeo or basketball, you're a king, you know. For me, I didn't have that. So for me, I'd watch a lot of movies in the summer because I had bad allergies. So my parents would keep me in, like, don't go outside again. You're gonna get sick, So, or you're gonna get bad allergies. So for me, it was watching a lot of movies, and the ones that I could relate to that weren't like cops and robbers were like martial arts movies. So I watched a lot of martial arts flicks. Bruce Lee, a lot of the Enter the Dragon, of course, but like American Ninja.
Oh yeah,
all those ninja movies. That
Ninja
was
Stars.
Yeah,
you had Ninja Stars.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. So that's what made me want to get into this. Yeah. But that was what Res was for me. We had what was called Rent-A-Flick. It was like a blockbuster in a trailer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was kind of my foundation.
So he hit on something very important. He said res ball. For those people that don't know, res ball is a unique way of playing basketball on the res, which is dope because you have a lot of native kids that, maybe they don't make it to the NBA, but there's a beautiful contribution to the culture of basketball. And every time I hear res ball, I always think of like the movie that was dropped on
Sidney Freeland.
Yes, yep. Exactly. Great movie, by the way. Let's talk about the movies that you were watching. Did that lead you into taking acting classes or wanting to pursue an acting career on the res, or do you have to leave to get that?
So for me, it was kind of serendipitous at the age of 5. Again, Japanese films, ninja movies, all of the things I was watching at the time were mostly subtitled. And the irony is this Japanese film crew came to my town and they said, hey, they knew to ask my parents for horses because they had horses in their movie. So they came by and they were having a meeting. I dressed up like a ninja. I knew where they were from.
A native ninja.
And
that's what Will used to call me when we first started Black Eyed Peas, a native ninja.
Native ninja. Yeah, I thought of myself like that. I mean, that's what I could identify to, right? Mm-hmm. They're the kind of culturally, the look, you don't find a lot of natives on film and TV at the time. So I showed up and they got a kick out of it. And then the next meeting they came by and they said, hey, can the ninja take off his mask? We'd like to meet him. And they just said, hey, we'd love to offer your son a role after spending some time. They said, our lead is supposed to be a female lead, but we're not able to find what we're looking for casting. So we'd love to offer him the role. So it's called Mickey's House. And so, I'm a big deal in Japan, I guess.
I love it. Japan, we're coming soon. Yeah. We're going to do a freaking throwback to that.
No, you're really legit in Japan. I was, I got a little movie out there, kids flick.
You've been to Japan?
No, I haven't. Not yet. You
have to go. It's
I know.
Beautiful.
I want to.
Tokyo
brother.
And Kyoto are my 2 favorite spots.
I want to, man.
Speaking about movies, your first movie was Natural Born Killers?
Natural Born Killers. Yeah, my uncle Russ, he was already on. He got me on audition. And so, I went and did the audition. First thing I ever auditioned for. And, the process. You go in a few times. And then the final I met with Oliver Stone. And, that was my first one.
For us native people, he just did a little flex without even you guys knowing that he flexed on you. He said, Uncle Russ. Russell Means, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most iconic, prolific native activist leaders, voices to ever walk planet Earth. This man really changed the game when it came to advocating for indigenous communities, indigenous equal rights, just being a person that was a hero. And still to this day, there's not a lot of us. There's like, Leonard Peltier, there's Russell Means, there's John Trudell, and you have a couple other athletes like Jim Thorpe and Billy Mills. But that was a dope flex, bro. They probably didn't catch that. They're like, Uncle Russ, Russell Means. Uncle if you don't know who that is, look him up, please. Russell Means is iconic. And I know Natani and Tatanka, that's his dad. So shout out to them. Shout out to Tatanka and Natani. Those dudes are amazing relatives as well.
Yeah,
what
shout out to working with Oliver Stone?
So Oliver, that first audition, I kind of knew what it meant to be on set, but it was a small flick. Being on Oliver's flick, at that point, I'd watched Born on the 4th of July. I've watched all of his other stuff, which I probably wasn't supposed to watch, but I got a good feel of it. And, Yeah, I knew what it meant. I guess, even at that time, I think reading the script, I knew it wasn't meant to be literal. It was a satirical piece, and if you look back at it now, you're actually looking into the future, just because some of the things Oliver, or like say Ollie, what he's hitting on was things that are relevant today. The news media and the way that we're basically eating ourselves, and all these other things that he touched on that were really impactful. And actually, we got a interview with about the flick, about Natural Born Killers, and they're doing a piece on Oliver. So last time I was in New York, I was supposed to do that, but yeah, I think there's a lot of meat there, and it was really cool because he came out. We hosted him, we hosted the crew back in Chinle at my grandpa's ranch. And, we just do like we do. We had some mutton and put together some fry bread. My grandpa's from Omaha, so I'm part Omaha from Nebraska. And then my mom's mom is Navajo. So we gave a little bit of both. And in our culture, of course, it's important how you give and what you give and how you show thanks. So we kind of did our own thing and just showing that appreciation, and it was a nice family thing. But yeah, the flick was something that I mentioned earlier when we were off, but I felt so depressed when it ended, because it was like we were on this high and we were just rolling. And then for it to be done, I just remember being so heartbroken, because I knew they were going to continue. They were going on to Chicago. They were done shooting in our area. And I just wanted to continue. I felt like something left in me, and that's how I knew this was something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same thing. I know you asked me off record about the high and the adrenaline dump after you get off a tour. So where I'm at in my life now, I feel like I'm always constantly thinking what's going on with my wife and my kids. Even though I'm on stage, I may be in my hotel for 8 hours before I have to go to the venue. I'm always thinking, yo, is there something wrong with the toilet? Because my wife's like, hey, something's wrong with da-da-da-da. There's always something wrong with the house.
Yeah.
So although I'm living this Black Eyed Peas life and facade, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, yo, my daughter, she has a fever. Oh man, my son, he has to make sure he gets the oil change on the Bronco. So I'm just thinking these things that have nothing to do with Black Eyed Peas, but everything to do with my reality. And so when I come off stage or leave tour, now I can be present in my daily life, which I'm all about. Because the touring and the experience of being on stage is very small in my life.
Yeah.
Although it's a lot of energy and it's hundreds and thousands of people screaming and singing the songs, it's great for that moment. But after those people leave the venue, then it's just silent. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next city and it's just Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
And although now I'm able to really enjoy the city, whether we're going to sneaker shopping or going to check out toys and collectibles or comic books or going to a theme park, just to decompress and enjoy those cities, or do some museum touring, landmark touring around the different countries. At the end of the day, I'm still thinking about how my wife and my kids are doing.
Yeah. Have you always been that way? Or you had to evolve into that?
I evolved into it because...
What was the turning point for you?
The turning point was when I got married, and it started becoming even more prevalent that there's a lot going on while I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I won't make the same mistake I made with my first son, where I was so disconnected because I was living this Black Eyed Peas world that I was disconnected from my reality.
What you did became who you were.
Exactly. It's kind of like wrestlers who become their character.
Right.
Because they're living it.
Like method acting.
Yeah, they're caught up in it, and then they forget, like, wait, but your kid is waiting for dad to come home, not the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Not Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah, you're not Taboo to him. You're dad.
Yeah, and it's like, you have to distinguish the fact that when you're on stage, that's one thing. And I don't ever change my character. I'm always the same guy.
Yeah.
I just have a different title and a different energy on stage.
Yeah.
Because when I get off stage, I'm still the same person. It's not like I put on a freaking mask and I'm like freaking Daft Punk or something, or see ya.
Marshmallow.
cool, though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I get off stage, I'm still pops to my kids.
Yeah.
And they'll never see me as Black Eyed Peas. They'll always see me as like, no, that's
Do
dad.
they think you're cool?
They do.
Yeah.
Because of what
course,
you do?
Yeah, of course.
No,
they do,
I think
brother.
just because of
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, you'd be surprised.
I think because
Like,
of the competitive spirit.
my kids don't think I'm cool.
my kids don't
but-
think I'm cool either.
Yeah,
but
but-
Kevin Hart, his kids don't think he's cool.
Yeah. I think
You know?
the competitive spirit of not being complacent with one thing, because they don't just know me for Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, dad's doing some great stuff with Taboo's Comics and Kicks.
Which kid is your biggest fan?
My daughter,
And what does she think is the coolest part of who you are?
she loves
Outside of dad, of course.
she loves that we could work together because we do Dora together.
Oh, cool.
Like Dora, we do voice acting, so we're voice actors on the show.
That's amazing.
So the fact
man.
that we get to bond on that, and I get to kind of teach her and guide her on what it's like to do liners and to do to do inflections on her tonality and how she delivers her lines. Like that's kind of dope.
Yeah.
Because I wish
it
I
is.
had that connection with my parent, where it's like, oh, I'm living a dream, performing, but we're also father and daughter. Because at the end of the day, we go home together.
Yeah.
We're like, Jet, that was fun, huh? Yeah, Dad, that was so fun. I want to do it again. So that moment, even though it's based on work, we're sharing a bond together that can never be broken. And the fact that we're able to grow together as something that we're passionate about, a talent, an expression, it makes me feel like, sky's the limit for Jet because she's into it. And it's something other than like, oh, you read me a book at nighttime. That's automatic.
Yeah.
Oh, you took me to school and you picked me up. That's automatic. I do
Yeah.
that automatically.
Yeah.
But to be able to create an opportunity for her to have royalty statements from Nickelodeon
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
for the rest of her life? What?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that
is
for
cool.
me-
She's 9.
She's 9, dude. She's getting these
She's richer
royalty
than-
statements, and I'm
She
like,
give me a
Jet,
loan?
bro. Bro. So just that,
Has that
being
ever
able
happened
to
before, a loan from a
share
9-year-old?
share those moments to be able to generate what a work ethic experience without her even knowing she's putting in work. She's doing work.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we celebrate and highlight the father and daughter more often, because we have a lot of amazing moms. Shout outs to the moms and the grandmas, but to be able to have fathers that are present, that are available, whether you're a single parent or you're in a relationship, the reality is we need to advocate for each other and support each other.
Next.
That's camaraderie. That's love for dads that are present and trying to do our best to get better, to educate ourselves. And we're going to make mistakes along the way, but at the end of the day, we want to be in our kids' lives and we want to be supportive.
I hate that narrative. All the dads I know are so involved and loving.
Yeah.
It's a stupid narrative that I think existed 50 years ago that
It
people
did.
still play off now.
So that's why I
you know.
champion the idea of like, yo, I'm proud to be a girl dad. It's, most of my people that are around me that are fathers are in their kids' lives. And that's just, you're a representation of the 5 people that you're around on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? So if you're around people that are present,
Good fathers. It'll
great
rub off on you.
fathers, then you're going to set the example and you're going to be like-minded and be surrounded by that.
Yeah.
Maybe back in the day when that stereotype or that whatever that,
He left to get milk and never came back.
yeah,
know, that
whole
whatever
thing.
that
You're like,
was old school, and I feel like I've been surrounded by great dads that are constantly learning, constantly educating ourselves and wanting to get better.
But mama's boy and daddy's girl is a real thing.
Yeah,
for
for sure.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take this time to acknowledge you too. Jimmy Jr., aka Jalen, to the people that know him, Journey, and Josh, my oldest. I'm proud of the men that you're becoming because you're young men. I always talk about Jet because she's our only daughter. She's our only baby girl in the family. So I just wanted to take time to also acknowledge them because I'm always talking about Jet.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
podcast I do, it's like Jet. So let me just give flowers to my boys because yes, we make mistakes. Yes, sometimes we're not on the same frequency and the same page, but at the end of the day, just know I love you guys. Speaking about love,
Yeah.
let's go into my goodie bag. So this is a segment, ladies and gentlemen, where we go into my bag and I pull out items from different parts of, different eras.
Okay.
80s, 90s,
Yeah.
present time. And when I hand you an item, you tell us if it brings up a nostalgia feeling, a memory, or something that you can talk about the item that I give.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Awesome,
Here's my goodie
brother.
bag right here.
Okay.
All right, here we go. We start with this because you're a big movie guy. Ready?
Yep. Do I keep my eyes closed or do I?
No. You're good. You're good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just celebrated Halloween, so I'm gonna start with this. What does that do for you?
Ah. Oh, wow.
Show the people.
Can I take it out?
Yeah, go ahead. Take it
Okay.
out.
Cougar. I don't know if it'll come out easy, but it's the Freddy Cougar's
Yes, sir.
his claw, right?
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean the slasher movies in the 80s and 90s, you know, that was its own era. I actually got to do a movie called Toe, and it was with the guy who plays Jason.
Oh wow.
Kane Holden.
Mm-hmm.
We did this slasher flick. I played a biker and end up getting the bad fate. But yeah, I mean, that was one that you always, you know, you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
You watch
The original.
Yeah, Friday
Toby
the
Hopper,
13th. Right? You watch all of those flicks, and it's like there's something in you that would love to play in that space, you know. And of course, on the character side, those back then, you know, those Indigenous or whatever characters were always being killed off first, and you'd always say, "Man, if I could make it, I'd do X, Y, and Z."
I always remember Freddy Krueger's Nightmare on Elm Street was the first movie that Johnny Depp was in.
Yep.
And he got taken out. He was Nancy's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And he got taken out like in that bed scene, remember?
Yep.
But it was Johnny Depp's first.
Which Halloween flick is your favorite?
Well, this one, it makes me think. I was going to say my last point on this was, do you remember the part where he pulls out, Freddy pulls out their veins and controls them with his claw? That's one thing that definitely sticks in my head. But
Dream Warriors, that was the name of that one, part 4.
Yeah, Dream Warriors. But for me, I think Freddy or Jason, the original Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's one that.
Those dudes were cool.
Yeah.
But they were just big, bulky, like just walking meats, right? They were just meatloaves that didn't talk. There was no personality to them. But Freddy was charismatic.
Funny.
Freddy had a personality. He was
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah.
He would make you feel like, yo, this dude, he's in my head.
Yeah.
Not only is he slashing me,
Mess up your dreams. Yeah.
mess up everything.
Yeah.
He was just like disrupting life with the way that he talked, the messaging, the freaking cartoonish vibe
When
that
you were
he had.
young, did you have nightmares about the films?
I did, especially
Did you?
the song. Dun, 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 dun. I know Will Smith did a Nightmare on Elm Street song.
And then it got crazy. Remember? So then they had Freddy versus Jason. They're like fighting in outer space, and
was
then
weird.
they started getting
Started
slapstick. You're right.
All right, so let's go on to the next thing.
Okay.
It's like the Fast and the Furious these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, so we're gonna stay. Now we're going from film
Okay.
to television.
All right. Oh wow. Yeah.
What does that do for you?
Mr. Spock. Yeah, I mean, I think so for me, I didn't really start watching Star Trek until probably because on the res, you know, you don't Rent-A-Flick was our source. So we watch everything on VHS. So for me, I learned more about Star Trek as a teenager, you know?
Yeah.
So you know, so in those times, I think the big thing I think for me with Star Trek was I just feel like it was somewhere like there's something about being so far out of where you are that it's relatable in a sense that you need that time just to not be maybe in your own space. Maybe the things that are going on are crazy, you know? So I started losing friends young. And so this shows like Star Trek helped me to kind of beam out or take me away to another place where I wasn't thinking about the problems, you know, or the things going on in my neighborhood or locally. You know, I could be somewhere else in a different world. For me, that's what a show like Star Trek
It's so funny that you say that about beaming out and like tapping into inspiration.
Yeah.
I always think of one of my favorite producers and just creatives, Pharrell Williams, and how immersed he was in futurism as a kid watching Star Trek. His label was called Star Trek.
Yeah.
The Neptune's sign was
Yep.
Spock.
Yep.
So it's just crazy how no matter whether you're from the res or you're from Virginia or you're from LA, Star Trek has been so influential.
Yeah.
And just the futurism, the thinking, the fact that Spock was so methodical and he was just like, just out of this world.
Plus Spock could do the
Exactly.
you
The
know?
Vulcan.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to stay on television now.
Okay.
And then we could continue the journey
Oh,
of Breaking
yeah.
Bad.
Hey.
Jesse.
Yeah. It's funny because when the show first came, when I first had my first agent, the agent at the time that I was working with, bring Breaking Bad up.
Yeah.
They just did their first season, and she told me this is the way she described Breaking Bad. She's like, it's kind of a weird show. It's the creators. She made it sound like it was a cable access show. It's a cable show. They're kind of, they're doing something a little different. She's like, it's about meth. Like she gave it a really bad description. At the time, just with life, I was so busy being a bad actor. I didn't fully do my research. So I knew the lines. Maybe it helped, but I knew the character that I was reading at the time was more, it was more of a circumstantial scene, something that maybe they pass through, they don't go through again. Could just be a character in passing. But at the time, we had a promotion company. We wanted to get into buy a nightclub. So we were doing our due diligence, running a promotional company. And I was locked out of my loft downtown Albuquerque, and I couldn't get in. I couldn't get my lines. I couldn't get my vehicle, and this was before Uber. So I ran back to the nightclub, and our VIP host, Johnny Ming, shout out to Johnny Ming, he was there, and he says, "Hey, bro, I'll take you." He's like, "Oh, new studios?" I was like, "Yeah, the new studios. They're the Netflix studios now." But he's like, "Bro, I'll take you. Let's go." So we go, and then he's asking me what it's gonna be like, and I'm like, "Well, they'll let us in. You probably got to give me your ID." He's like, "Oh, they do a background check?" And I'm like, "No, bro, you'll be. It's good."
He's worried about the background check.
He's like, "Wait, hold on, maybe I'll leave you
good.
at the gate." You know. So I'm like, "No, we'll be good." So he's like, he's just super stoked to get in there. So we get in there. He drives me up. "All right, brother. Good luck." So I go in. I do my thing, and it's for Los Pollos Hermano Manager. So I read for it. The iPhone just came out, and the director, Adam Bernstein, on the day was like, "We all are now." He's sitting there, iPhone 1. My whole audition, I always tease him about it. And so I felt like, yeah, it probably wasn't the guy as I walked in.
Oh, so he was not focusing on
He
you.
wasn't focused on me. So I was doing my read, and the director, was sitting there like our brother here, just on his phone, like, nothing against our brother here, but that was Adam Bernstein,
right,
just as a
right.
visual. That's Adam Bernstein. Here I am doing my audition.
Talking about C's, by the way.
Yeah, see,
No, you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble.
Adam is
He put
Adam
his
and
phone away.
Steve. Adam Steve keep doing it because it's inspiration. But that's what the whole audition. And so I do that, and then by the end of it, it's just kind of like the casting director looks at the director, and he's kind of like, "Okay, well, hey, thanks, Jeremiah." So we all as actors know how that feels.
Yeah.
So walk out, get back in the car. Sherry Rhodes, rest in peace, our casting director, ran out, jumped on the car, and says, "Hey, I got to get you back in there." What did I say earlier? Like, naturally, we feel like imposter syndrome. We're not in the right place, So here I am, like, shit, did I steal the pin when I was signing in? Like, my head's going through all this stuff. Johnny's freaked out. He's like, "Oh shit, I knew I shouldn't have showed up here." So turns out she's like, "Hey, I need you to come back in. I need you to read for this other character." So I'm kind of like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it. It's the job." So I get in there, take 5 minutes. She's like, "You got it? We got about 5 minutes." I said, "Sure." So I read through it, go in the restroom, do my thing, read the lines, come back. And I kind of knew it's probably like something like with music, like when I was listening to about the latest track you guys released, the East LA, kind of like how you knew that cumbia, how that set in.
Yeah.
You know, the trio and then the cumbia, like those sounds were just natural. For what was coming out of this character, it was just, I knew three guys like this guy.
Right.
So I didn't have any doubt. It was just a matter of going in there, saying the lines. This time Adam Bernstein's off his phone and he's just sitting there like, all right, let's go. I do it. Get the role, find out in the day. And I didn't think anything of it. We're season 2, they've only had one, but I'm working with one of my inspirations, which is Giancarlo Esposito.
Ooh. Shout out to Giancarlo Esposito.
Shout out to Giancarlo. He'd be a great dude for you to talk to, man.
Oh, dude, I want to get him. That guy, I mean, we talked about him in Do the Right Thing when he talked about stepping on his Jordans. Like, that was a classic scene.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he's done so much great work.
Yep.
But talk about that, like working with Giancarlo, like going toe-to-toe with an iconic figure like Giancarlo.
So, you know, Do the Right Thing, all the way back, like Nothing to Lose. You think of all these different shows that he's done. In my heart, you know, Malcolm X, like he's an icon.
He is,
you know,
for sure.
And Bryan, my first scenes with Bryan, with the lead of the show, Bryan Cranston, and you know, we do the thing, and again, it's like we're in and we're out, which is a good thing. If you're doing your job right, you're in and you're out, right? But I kind of thought that was it, you know, to be honest. It was a quick day. We shot the scene in one morning, and then...
Take us through the scene. What scene are we talking about right here?
So my first scene was Mandela, episode 8, season 2. And this scene was when Bryan starts getting into now realizing that he needs to enterprise. And so he knows of the character Gus, but he doesn't really know his name or much other detail. He just knows that he needs to find this guy. So he's trying to track him down. Little does he know, he's right behind the counter, you know, as in plain sight. And then Victor comes up, and that's the first glint that there's something going on in this space. And then Victor basically just kind of, you know, dead set, kind of calloused, seeing everything. There's a few characters we can talk about in my life that I've thought about through him, but it was just straight up just him giving information in and out, setting up the deal, and then just walking away. So it was great to have that experience working with Bryan, you know, getting to meet Giancarlo. And I was like, wow, it looks like they're off to something good. But, you know, as a day player or someone coming on a show, you don't really think anything else of it.
What does day player means for the audience? What does that mean, day player?
So day player means you're not necessarily, you're supporting cast. Like you're not a guest star. So Giancarlo was a guest star of the show. Bryan was billed as a series regular. So as a series regular, he's not going anywhere. Jesse Pinkman, which is Aaron Paul, he's, you know, one of the leads. He's not going anywhere. At that time, Giancarlo was a guest star. Season 3, they bring us back. Giancarlo's now a regular, and they bring me back as a guest star. So it's the co-star, the day players are kind of like your co-stars.
Right.
They're the guys that you see in TV. Maybe you see them in passing. Maybe they do one scene like that, and you never see them again. Sometimes they're given a gift, and it's a little bigger than that.
That's dope. So you got to come back and relive that experience with these icons, Bryan, Aaron, and freaking Giancarlo.
So Aaron really, he makes me think, like, speaking of this, is he was the one that really, season 3 told me, like, hey, you know, welcome back. They wouldn't tell me, my agent wouldn't tell me what's up. I showed up on set, and he was the one to say, hey man, welcome to the show. And, you know, you're going to be playing Victor. And I'm like, because I couldn't figure out what I'm doing. They wouldn't tell me very much. They were getting very hush-hush as they remained through the next seasons. But when I landed, it was like, I didn't expect anything out of it. I just kind of was like, what am I, they're bringing me back to be that same guy? Because now I was really confused. I was like, did I do good on my first thing and now I'm the manager? Or are they bringing me back to be that same, because it was just nondescript customer.
Yeah.
That's what I was. So then once it was told that I was going to be playing this, I was like, oh, wow, that's...
How many seasons did you
it's a
do
gift.
overall?
So Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, we did, I touched on the end of season 2, played through season 3, and then my character passed season 4.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
And then Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the gift that kept on giving.
That's
So
crazy.
which one?
He was on Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought me back Better Call Saul. But yeah, Aaron, we'd all hang, you know, it was just a gift. I think everyone thought of it as a gift. Aaron's story resonated a lot, which you'll find on interviews. He was about to quit acting as a whole, pack up, I don't know, maybe move back to Idaho. And then he got this. And so I remember, you know, just thinking like how it really was a gift. And transportation guys would always tease me, you know, dead man walking, they'd say, because they're like, oh, this is your last meal. And I'm like, I don't know, man. So I just blazed through that season 3 and didn't die, which is rare. Like bad guys usually don't last that long, but they were making a meal out of our storyline. So, you know, I took it.
Did you, when you saw what you guys had done, did you feel like it was a hit? Because I'll tell you. So when we make music, sometimes you know, like, wow, Where's the Love? That's going to be a smash. You just know.
Yeah.
And then other times you make a song like I Got a Feeling, and at first you're like, it's a cool college song.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like celebratory. It's cool.
Yeah.
But then it becomes this freaking anomaly, which we had no idea. We're like, yo, I Got a Feeling. Because at first when we first performed it, people weren't feeling it. They're like, what's this? And we're like, yo, this song's whack, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, we got a whack one.
Can I mention this? That I was at one of the first
He was one of the ones
performances.
saying it was whack.
He was. You had way
No. I was at House of Blues in Anaheim when Fergie first joined you guys, and then you dropped Elephant.
Yeah.
So me and my cousin, which he had a res rap group called Tribal Live, and we went and we watched one of your first shows with Fergie, and I think there were so many hip hop heads, if you remember.
Yeah, of course.
Your you know, Joint and Jams, like that whole crew, like your real B-boys were there, and they didn't know what to expect. But yeah, I think when you took in what it was that you guys were doing, like that was your thesis. You guys were on to this new, it's kind of like if you would have stayed local, you would have stayed doing what you were doing. Local meaning, you know, here nationally more. But you guys blew up and went international.
We're going worldwide, across the nation. Now that we activated all communication, that was the line on Behind the Front, a song called Communication, because we wanted to go worldwide.
Yeah.
We didn't want to stay local. Local's cool, but I think we came back local with East LA in 2025 because we had to do this world travel, this international, intergalactic travel that took us to the out of the stratosphere to come back in 2025 and be like, I'm from East LA, que ondas, way. You don't want no pedo, no mames, way. Place in the barrio, súbele, way. Like all that vibe, that frequency is LA.
Yeah.
So we needed to take that venture into like whether you rock with it or not, your joints and jams, your Kedises falling up, and then you go into Where's the Love and Let's Get It Started and all these other records. And the thing took off.
Yeah.
My point was, did you feel that this show, Breaking Bad, when you saw it, when you were doing it, did you know it was going to take off so big?
No, I don't think any of us knew. Like season 3, so going into season 3, you could tell, like you can kind of, there's indicators that there's more money. Season 2, kind of basic craft services. Nothing against craft services.
That's how you
Craft services.
Cheese and crackers. Season 2.
You go from
season 3 lobster and steak.
goldfish, gummy bears to now you got
now we got a little
real
something.
Food, it was snacks.
Yeah, Mario's showing up. They're doing their thing and they're doing the kind of the base hits. And then you get season 3, and it's kind of like we're really eating now,
budget.
And we got a little something. So that's always an indicator, and people are getting paid well, so you can tell, people are happy and people want to be there. But I would say before I felt like, oh, this is gonna be a hit. What I felt was like a camaraderie. Like we had the team.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like with Bryan, and there was just this they were so good. Like I got to give it to them just for being great leaders, because leading a show, you do feel this heaviness, not just to do your character and bring something more that's going to lead, but you got to lead what's behind all this as well.
Yeah.
Like you're not just leading this, you're leading all that.
Yeah.
And that's the part that the greats, they're really great at.
The final scene where you get killed off.
Okay.
Can you talk through that scene and maybe how you felt like going into that scene? Did you know prior that you were going to die in that scene, and how all that worked? And Gus killed you off, right? So how did all that scene come together?
Yeah, great question, brother. That one. Again, I thought, I knew I was coming back on season 4 because they didn't kill me in season 3. But we didn't know how it was going to end. They kind of, in TV, I learned a ton through Vince, through our showrunner and writer. My wife, when she first met him, she's like, she never watched Breaking Bad, but she was like, I'm the biggest fan of X-Files. And if you go back and watch X-Files and how meticulously it was put together,
right.
And then you go watch Breaking Bad and you see, this dude is like, he's bridging story elements in this whole Vince Gilligan universe. And so you watch The Fly. There's touchbacks to X-Files. There's a lot of these really creative bridges. And
Vince did The Fly?
No, well, yeah. Vince was our showrunner for all Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But Vince did X-Files. Like that was like his first breakout show. But the Fly episode in Breaking Bad, that was regarded as one of
the top episodes.
One of the top episodes. So when we first were about to start, I got a call from Melissa Bernstein, and she just said, "Hey, Jeremiah, you've been a great asset to the show. We love it. We're excited about this current season. We can't wait to get started. We're going to start this off with a big bang. Unfortunately, you're the big bang." And I was just like, "Oh, dang."
Where's the good news in this?
So I thought I was going to go out how Gus ended up going out at the end of the season. I thought I was going to be blown up. But just no spoilers. I guess probably everyone's watched it at this point, but going out by a box cutter, it was ruthless. And so the way that scene played, we shot that thing so many different ways, so many different times. We were locked in that thing for forever, it felt like. And but it was a masterpiece in a sense that what Vince does with his team is he brings us all in and he gives all of us actors, before any light or anything is set up, he just says, "Run it. Let's just run it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get a feel for it."
Yeah.
And what he's trying to feel for is, where's the natural blocking?
Okay.
How does it naturally run?
Right.
And so his process is to have that without any disturbance of the set. He'll do one of those. And then what he does is he brings in all the technicians and the head departments, and they all tuck in certain areas. You'll find one hiding by that doorwell. You'll find another maybe hiding in the closet. And literally they're all tucking in, not trying to disturb us, but they're watching us.
Yeah.
And then he'll watch them and they'll come in and mark. So we do another rehearsal like that. And then we all step out, they all step in, and they do their thing. So there's a method to the madness. Even though we shot that particular set 100 different ways, that's the process every time.
Right.
And no matter, time was one thing that it felt like it didn't, sometimes you feel it like, when you're on set and it's like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Like we're, this felt like it felt like being in a Cadillac, like for the first time. It felt like we as actors, we had that meal to enjoy, you know. So we'd have those first rehearsals, and sometimes it'd flip the scene. But as actors, you don't always get that,
Yeah.
you know.
Of course.
Usually, you walk on and things are already set, unless it's a Clint Eastwood set. That's really, it was special in that sense. So yeah, my last episode with them, it was a whirlwind, and I left with that same feeling like Natural Born Killers. I left feeling empty and kind of sad. I felt like, just the fact that you're leaving the crew and the cast, and they're all going on, and your part's done, which is the job.
What was it like to? I got one more question.
Yeah.
What was it like to be part of a freaking iconic war film like Flags of Our Fathers? Because I saw that film and I thought I was watching your amazing performance. What was it like to have to come off set and because you have to tap into you're in war, right? You're part of a time period.
Yeah. So the thing was Flags of Our Fathers. Here was the crazy part. I read for Flags of Our Fathers for the role of Ira Hayes for our brother Adam Beach's the part which he got, which I think it was fit the way.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
You got to watch Flags of Our Fathers. Yeah.
When did it come out?
He was meant to be.
It came out a while ago.
Okay.
I was still young. I still hadn't grown into my teeth. So, but he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I think as a man, I think you finally grow into your face when you match your teeth. Your teeth match your face. But I still hadn't grown into my teeth, and he was fully in it. He was great to work with. But on that day, I came in with a monkey on my back because on that day my manager called me, Miriam Baum, and she says, "Hey, Jeremiah, I hate to do this to you, but Mel wants to meet you for Apocalypto." And I was like, wow. I said, okay, cool. I was like, that sounds great. She's like, no, he wants to meet you today. Oh. And then he leaves out to Mexico City. And I was like, well, what do I do? And she's like, it's one of those tough things. I had several meetings with the casting directors for Flags of Our Fathers, reading for that character. I knew that Clint wrote, from what they said, he wrote me into the story. And so it was like, do I bone out on something that Clint created specifically for me, which seemed like a diss, you know?
Oh yeah.
Or do I
take a chance on Mel's movie?
Take a chance, and so I just did what character-wise felt right, and I went, and I'm glad that I did because, you're seeing one of the greats be able to do their thing, and it's true. Clint doesn't say action; he just kind of nods, and everyone goes quiet, including the birds. Like I'm telling you, it's so weird. It's like they all kind of, and everything's quiet. The nature kind of just subsides, and you get. I don't know how it works, and then his setups, it's just like, Mr. Eastwood, we're ready. Okay, cool. You shoot it. It's like, all right, we're ready for our next setup. And you're just kind of like, what? Like they're doing everything off of natural lighting.
Is he the greatest actor director ever?
I mean, I'd put him, man, I'd put him up there. In my book of directors and people that I've wanted to work with, he's definitely, of course, he's synced in there as one of the ones that I've wanted to. That Western period, my great grandpa was in Westerns, was in a John Wayne movie, and they did a documentary recently, a few years back, because he didn't want to be anything in movies. He didn't care about it. It was a sheep herder, medicine man. So when they gave him the role, he was like, and when they told him the lines, he decided he was going to make up his own lines. So he ended up saying in Navajo all of this other stuff that they later translated, and they realized like he was basically dissing John Wayne on his own show. So the history of Westerns, of course, is really, but I for what Clint had done and what he was doing and the way he was handling that character, I was so happy that I tapped in on that when I had the opportunity. And then met Adam, and we've kind of became bros ever since. So
I need to get Adam on this too. Adam is iconic, dude.
yeah.
You worked with Oliver Stone and Clint Eastwood as directors. Like that's like a mic drop.
I'd put Jim Sheridan in there. I'd put him right in there. Vince Gilligan.
Yeah, Vince,
Chris Eyre, our native brother.
Yep.
It'd be great for him. He's done such great work, and now with Dark Winds, it's been a blessing. But just like you, like I got into this thinking I would drop as a director first.
Mm-hmm. Wait, that's what you wanted to do?
That's what I moved here wanting to do.
Wow.
So Rebel Without a Crew, El Mariachi, Robert Rodriguez, all of those were like, I studied it, man. Back then, early 2000s, you wanted film school. I didn't get into UCLA film school. Everything you could go watch the DVD, you turn back the commentary, director's commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, like I get people that ask me, I'm like, go get the DVD, watch director's commentary.
Director's cuts, yeah.
Go watch the director's cuts, watch it through. I've watched Training Day so many times, just watching Antoine Fuqua talk through the characters.
You ever had your shit pushed in? I had my shit pushed in.
So
that scene.
Raymond Cruz, we were just
Raymond, dude.
We were talking, bro. Shout out to Raymond. We were just talking about Emilio, bro. Talk about imposter syndrome. I'm there with Steven Quesada from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Raymond Cruz and Emilio Rivera, and we're having dinner a few weeks ago, and I'm just like, bro. It's like, they're all guys that are they've been through this all, and I'm just like, it's a vulnerability thing. I just was like, I said to you, the feeling of imposter. I'm like, guys, man, it's just an amazing feeling being here with you guys,
sir.
Because it's like to come from the res, to come through all of that, and it's just been an amazing ride. Because I wanted to be a director, and that's why I moved here, and I think I'm still. That's the goal. I'm just still learning. Like I want to be an actor, director, just like Clint. Like that's the goal.
What was 3 things that you took away from each of the leads, from Giancarlo, from Aaron, and Bryan? Like something that people wouldn't expect, a little nugget of information, or something that like you're like, whoa, wait, I didn't know he was into Tribe Called Quest like that, Bryan. Or I'm just, I'm trying to think something that people don't really know about Bryan, Aaron, and Giancarlo that you felt fascinating.
Bryan knowing every lyric of Ella Funk was pretty.
What?
Wow!
I was like, hey, Bryan, I need you on the show.
I'm just teasing, brother. He's teasing.
Dope, though. I would love to have Bryan on. Bryan Cranston. If you
Shout out, Bryan. We got to get
Taboo's Comics and Kicks.
Yeah, but no, he I think seeing, like, having a seasoned like guys that they were happy to be there, they wanted to be there. They wanted everyone kind of, that was the biggest thing, I think, is, corporate culture, being in business, you set this pace for everybody. You just like you got here, you got the vibe for the crew and what you're doing. I call it the creative culture. Like they set the creative culture.
Right.
You probably know this, being on set or on tour, you start whistling East LA. Next thing you know, everyone else is, as a lead, everyone else is whistling East LA.
Yeah.
You're playing, or you're reading Wall Street Journal, or you're doing the weekly what is it called, the scramble at the end, those games at the end of the week on a Friday. Everyone else is doing that, so
it's just infectious, right?
So, it's infectious. It's infusive. Your creative energy is growing because you're letting people in that. So I think being generous with that, being mindful and cautious of what you have in the sword you have, and whether maybe you touch someone with it every once in a while, or you just say, or you're knighting people and you're giving them those status and position. I think that's an important one, but I think the biggest one is really the listening aspect, which I don't think I really have learned until recently. I think I could have done a better job offset, soaking in and listening more. I mean, I always ask a lot of questions, but I'd always be excited to give my own response or answer rather than really listening to Bryan and really listening to another guy, Jonathan Banks. You know, some of these guys are vets, and those are the pieces that I think I've walked away with now that I look back.
You know, that reminds me, I'm glad you touched on that, because that reminds me, like, at the highest of my career, I can tell you a lot of times where I didn't even know what I was doing. It was so big and so, like, not supposed to be happening. Like, for example, when I was doing the Super Bowl, it was a performance, and I could have absorbed it even more than I did, but I didn't. I performed. I went into the suites, watched the game, but it was just another day. I had just performed at the Super Bowl, and it was another day to me, which I regret not being more into it and being more connected to it. I had my wife and my son Jalen there.
Yeah.
I had a couple of family members there, but I didn't realize the magnitude of what we had just done. It was another performance to me.
But why do you think that was?
I think because I wasn't secure with being present. It was always, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Because we were on such a roller coaster of, like, what's the next thing?
This is 2010?
2011.
11.
So we had just done the end tour, our biggest tour.
Yeah.
We're selling out stadiums, and, you know, I'm riding on a motorcycle across the freaking Staples Center, and it just was like all this, like, World Cup. We headlined the World Cup with Shakira. We were doing the Super Bowl. We just won 6 Grammys, or we just swept the Grammys and the American Music Awards. So all this stuff that was happening, and I know that it's very novelty and it's kind of like self-centered, but I didn't allow myself to really absorb it. It was happening so fast that I was just living it. And I think now where I'm at in my life is, like, I want to absorb every moment. If there's a moment where I can, like, really celebrate and, like, be like, wow, we did it. We came from East LA, my grandmother's living room, projects, the Dogtown projects, to go to Rosemead, California, to
Garfield,
my mom, Garfield High School, to be in Pasadena, and all these things that have happened in my life, to really appreciate being present. And I think we are so caught up in, you know, the next gig that sometimes we don't realize the beauty of that being present, how beautiful it is when you're around Bryan and Aaron and Giancarlo, and you're just like, yo, I'm from the Navajo res. And now I'm fucking AMC Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you have to cherish those moments. Like, yo, bro, there's a lot of kids from the res that are looking to someone like you to lead. And forever, your story will be embedded in the halls of influence and inspiration. So always take those moments.
Thank you, brother.
To really appreciate what you have done and continue to do to inspire Indian country and kids that are non-native, kids that just want to act, kids that dream and aspire to one day be in those halls of like learning and absorbing and, you know, learning from Giancarlo and freaking Bryan and Aaron. Because I think a lot of times we get so caught up in the job that we don't understand the beauty that is the time that we're on set.
Yeah, that's deep, man. I think that it's a gift. Like what you just said is a gift because I think if our people could realize that more rather than having, you know, being, you know, flying here, being like, you know, front of the plane and being like, do I really, you know, do I belong here? You know, and then thinking like on the way over, like constantly, like you're just, there's that twitch inside where you're like, what is this? You know? So, but like, I think you're right because, you know, one of the hardest and best years career-wise was 2021. And we were at the end of Better Call Saul and, we were just the roller coaster was ending and it brought up all these weird feelings. But I was transitioning over to Dark Winds, which I was gonna series regular on Dark Winds, and
shout out to Kiowa, Zahn,
Zahn, those dudes, and they were the ones they said, hey, we want we want this guy. We want him as our dark horse for this one. So I give it fully up to them, and that was something. But to really soak up those moments, like I remember being in the trailer, getting my head shaved for the last time for Victor, buzz cut, and then being on the phone with my manager being like, wait, hold on, you can't cut his hair. It was over centimeters. Like he has to grow his hair out because he's on this other show in 2 weeks and they want his hair here. They're both AMC. They're both, and it was like, it was an interesting position to be in, but I think I wasn't being as present. And the last day, I think Jonathan Banks came up to me, and so I'm just kind of going through the motions. I'm sitting in hair and makeup. They're going through this. I'm kind of like on my phone. They're like, cut it. And I'm just like, whatever they decide. I just lost my pops, and there were all these things. We're coming off the pandemic, we're coming off the lockdown. And I had this like sick discipline through the pandemic. And now I am here back on set, eating whatever, just kind of immersed in my phone and just going through the day. And then I'm on a call, and Jonathan Banks, he would always tease me, be like, fucking Jeremiah, get off your, he'd yell like sometimes so the other person could hear, fucking Jeremiah, get off your phone. So he yells, and I said, hey, I just told JB, I said, JB, this is, I love being with you guys. This is what affords me to be with you guys though. And he goes, I'm teasing you. He's like, I'm just messing with you. And I said, yeah, I know. But in that, I thought, you know what? Like, there's moments I missed with JB, just trying to juggle and do my other business stuff on set. And I think I've kind of missed some of just being present in that, in conversations that could have been had more with JB.
It's funny that you say that, dude, because you're freaking acting and you're doing something you love to do on a freaking great TV show.
A great show.
Right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you can have the remorse enough to be like, you know what? I should have been more involved with that conversation. And he was teasing you because he loves you.
Yeah.
But he was also letting you know, like, yo, dude, just take it all in, bro.
Yeah.
You could make that phone call or text, and I know that you were doing business, but I kind of feel like that too now where I'm at when I'm doing stuff with Nickelodeon. Because it's different.
Yeah.
And I say that because, Black Eyed Peas will always be my mothership. That will always be the thing that I, live and die for when it comes creatively.
Yeah.
But to be able to work with my daughter and be part of Nickelodeon, Paramount, like, dude, that's like a dream come true for me because I love acting.
Yeah.
And I always thought I was going to be an actor before I became a musical artist. Didn't turn out that way. But I've always had, there's always a look like, oh, your face, you should do something with acting. You don't even have to say anything. And, you're already telling a story.
Yeah.
So that moment of being on set with my daughter, even if it's like in the studio and getting direction from the casting director and seeing her light up and seeing her become Quicatina, that's her character. It's dope because I'm Quickatu, which is the father of we're birds, right?
Yeah.
But it's something so innate in me as an actor that I'm like, yo, I love being on set. I love being in the studio working on this beautiful project that is Dora because it inspires kids.
Yeah.
And so if I can inspire kids with my daughter, her being a little matriarch that kids look to like, oh, Jet, like, oh, she's confident in her craft. She's working with her dad. Like I love that story. Let's talk about your future now, because I'm talking about my future with my daughter with Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
You said something really profound when I first started talking about what you're working on now. You said you were in construction?
Yeah. So I started, when I first moved here, one of the things that allowed me to move to LA at the age of 19, because my parents were like, hey, we don't have any, we didn't save up a college fund. You don't have any trust fund. You don't have any rich auntie or uncle that passed or anything like that, passed money on to you. But we'll help however we can. And if you want to go to school in New Mexico, we'll fully support it. I was just happy to get out of out of Albuquerque. I tried to get out when I was 17. I knew I wanted to graduate. I knew I didn't want to drop out. It was something that became a thing. Like I was so behind in school. I went to 6 different high schools in Albuquerque. My cousin went to we're the same age. He went to another 6. So we knew pretty much everyone in Albuquerque, and we kind of wore out our welcome. And so at that point, I knew I had to get out. I knew I wanted to go, and my mom took an entrepreneurial leave, and she was doing she had her MBA, and she was doing consulting and training, leadership courses and communication courses for tribes. So she'd go do these courses, and I was like trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I just went with her, and she did this workshop for these Native youth out in Phoenix, and they were much different than like way different experience than we had. There's probably the misconception that Natives, we get handed housing, we get handed living, all of that. That's not the truth, right? But these kids had they had everything. They got per cap. Yeah. So their motivation level was different, and they kind of shut her down. They didn't want to engage, nothing. I just said, "Hey, Mom, let me take a crack at it." And I knew by that point her curriculum. So after lunch, I just jumped in and I just said, "Hey, look, this is who I am. This is where I'm from. This is my experience." And I just went through my life experience, and I made it pretty quick and short, keep them engaged like in 20 minutes. Yep. And I just said, that's who we are. That's what we're doing. And if you want to stay, stay. And if you don't, we give a few minutes, we'll clear out. But if you're down, stay here and we'll finish this up. So long story long is that she went back to work, and I took her course book and I turned it into training material for youth. So we started this program called Youth Impacting Youth, and I made enough money that summer to move here to LA. And then we just started springboarding throughout Indian country and throughout urban environments throughout the US, me and a handful of other college students. And so that was my first business. And fast forward, now have actually this year, 20-year-old construction company. So there's been different businesses I've been in and whole different muscle. But that's really, when I think of LA, I think a lot of that period, of that time. And it meant something significant in that sense.
That's dope.
As an entrepreneur.
I love that he's challenged himself, created a business over 20 years that starts with, of course, his love for acting. One of the things that I want to say before we end this is thank you for changing the narrative of what a Native actor is and what he's supposed to be playing. A lot of times we do get lumped up in Hollywood with the stereotypical roles and the roles that may seem very mundane and very old school. But the fact that you've been able to break that narrative with a character like Victor. It could be anybody. It could be a Latino. It could be a Puerto Rican kid, Mexican kid from the res. The fact that you're able to channel something very modern and take us to the next level, I really appreciate that. We need more people like you advocating for different types of roles. And I love that you understand being present is very, very important because we don't always get the opportunity to start in the game.
Yep. Yeah.
And to be, starting 5.
Yeah.
Playing along Michael Jordan and the Kobe Bryants of the world. I feel like those are moments that we need to cherish, always appreciate, because like I told you, you deserve and you've earned your spot. Don't ever think you're an imposter. Don't ever second guess yourself, and always know that we appreciate you. On that note, let's give it up for Jeremiah. This has been Taboo's Comics and Kicks.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
That's right, y'all. It's Taboo Nawasha, and I hope you enjoyed geeking out with me and going straight into geek mode. For more information, for more videos, subscribe, like, and comment. Share with your friends. Much love. There it is.